A dimly lit crypt fades in, faint green necromantic energy crackling through the air, the sound of a quill scratching on parchment. The flicker of candlelight dances like restless spirits on the stone walls. The master, in a low, resonant voice, like a whisper from the grave. Bone and sinew, spirit and shadow, the threads of life unraveled and rewoven. Tell me, apprentice, what is the essence of necromancy? The apprentice hesitates, eyes wide as they glance at the ancient tome open before them. The shadows seem to lean in closer, listening. To command death and its forms, master. To raise the fallen and bend them to our will. The master tilts his head, a dry chuckle echoing softly through the crypt. The skeletal remains around them seem to shift, as if amused by the naivety. The master chuckles, dry and hollow. A common misunderstanding. No, necromancy is not command, it is understanding. Death is the final truth of all the realms. A necromancer learns to listen to that truth, to shape it, and in doing so, glimpse eternity. The master extends a hand toward the sarcophagus. The air grows cold. The flame of the candle shrinks, afraid. A skeletal hand stirs within the open tomb. It moves, without voice, without will. The master, with a voice like distant thunder, because it remembers. Every bone holds a memory. Every shadow carries a whisper of the life it once knew. We do not give commands. We grant permission. The skeleton rises, empty eye sockets igniting with cold green fire. The room quivers with ancient power. The apprentice with eyes wide with curiosity. Is this the dark art? The power of necromancy? The master nods solemnly. Indeed. Necromancy, sometimes called the dark art or the dark school, is a discipline that manipulates the energies of death, unlife, and the life force that resides within all living creatures. It is a school without sub-schools, yet with moral divisions, white, black, and grey. Moral divisions. What distinguishes them? The master gestures to the skeleton, eyes glinting with knowledge. Black necromancers drain life energy, raise the undead as tools of domination, and often pursue personal power. They are the ones whispered about in fear. White necromancers, however, serve life through death. They heal the living, ensure the dead find peace, and act as guardians of balance. Many serve deities like Jurgel, Kelemvor, or Chantea. And the grey, the master glimpses with a faint smile. Those who walk the boundary. Scholars like us. We do not serve blindly. We seek understanding, knowledge without prejudice. Yet even the white necromancers often live in secret, disguised as herbalists, gardeners, or gravekeepers. The world fears what it does not understand. The master moves his hand through the air, and the skeletal figure kneels before him as if in deference, with a voice trembling with curiosity from the apprentice. And what of the dead themselves, master? Do they resent our touch? Do they know what we do? The dead are not as we are, child. They linger where memory binds them, tethered by love, hate, regret, and duty. Some awaken confused, others enraged. Our art is not cruelty, but guidance. To awaken a soul without purpose invites disaster. That is the folly of black necromancers. The green flame in the skeleton's eyes flickers as though stirred by unseen winds. The master raises a finger, tracing an ancient rune in the air. This rune, the sigil of eternal repose, grants the undead clarity in their fleeting return. Watch closely. The rune glows, suspended in the air. The skeleton's posture changes, shoulders squaring, as though recalling the soldier it once was. Duty, to the crown, must defend. It speaks after so long, the master nodding in appreciation. The life force lingers, like an echo in a canyon. Necromancy, true necromancy, is the art of amplifying that echo without shattering the soul. Remember this, apprentice. Power without purpose is corruption. The apprentice, eyes wide, and their voice steadying. I understand, master. We do not only command, we listen, we learn. To walk the path of the necromancer is to know the secret rhythms of life and death, and to honor both in ways the uninitiated can scarcely comprehend. A Master and Apprentice, Age of Humanity, 1883 DR, from the Complete Book of Necromancers. Today, we bring to life the school of necromancy and what dark magic it brings forward. Death is the final arbiter. It claims everyone, regardless of class or station, fame or notoriety, gentleness or depravity. In some realms, death is regarded as the threshold to an elevated existence, or as the doorway leading to another life in a never-ending cycle of adventure. According to scribes, the necromancer practices vile and forbidden arts. They are the macabre wizard who roots in graveyards, searching out mouldering components for their obscene spells. They are the evil who calls upon the restless, tormented spirits of the deceased, seeking their immortal arcana. In their dark and secluded lairs, the mute undead, the monstrous familiar, and the ravening fiend serve the necromancers in their ghoulish endeavors. Yet there is also another side to the necromancer. Consider the compassionate ghost hunter who lays tormented undead to rest, or the dutiful priest of the dead who helps guide spirits on their eternal voyage to the outer planes. Not all wizards can become necromancers. Masters of the dark art must possess utmost self-control and mental stability in order to successfully control the powerful energies at their disposal. Frequent trafficking with the spirits of the dead and more powerful creatures from the lower planes can exact a terrible price on the sanity of these mages. Weak-willed individuals have little chance of emerging from such encounters with their mental faculties unimpaired. The archetypal necromancer employ the weave and the art only for their twisted and evil ends. They revel in animating the dead and forcing the corrupted remains to serve their perverse appetites. Because of the archetype's vile excess, necromancers as a profession are universally reviled in most civilized societies and realms. These stereotypical necromancers are consummate villains, foul-hearted wizards of the basest sort. As a result of their violently unrelenting and unrepentant evil, these wizards are either promptly stamped out of existence by the divine arm of society, or rise to an unparalleled level of power, and perhaps even godhood. The most dreaded powers of this wizard come from the spells at their disposal. The dark art has many uses, the least of which brings death in horrible and excruciating manners. The necromancer can drain the life force of a victim, command shadowy spirits of the fugue plane, or animate the remains of the dead. Yet, for all the attention focused on the manifestly evil spells of the necromancer, little concern from scribes has been devoted to exploring the more useful and even beneficial applications of the so-called dark art. In addition to its vile purposes, necromancy can also heal the afflicted, provide protection from the dead, and inform the living. The three forms of necromancy range from black to grey, and finally to white. Black necromancy usually brings death, physical injury, or spiritual annihilation in an excruciating and terrifying manner. This black magic is evil, vile, and includes a range of spells, a subterranean chamber deep beneath the earth. The walls are carved with jagged runes that seem to writhe in the flickering crimson torchlight. The air is thick with the metallic tang of blood and the cold whisper of distant, restless souls. The master, in a low, measured voice, like a blade drawn from a leather sheath. Tonight, apprentice, we step beyond the veil of restraint. Black necromancy, a power that rends, consumes, and annihilates. What do you know of it? The apprentice stands near a stone pedestal, upon which rests a single withered heart, bound in cold iron wire. Their eyes shift nervously to the shadows, where dark figures seem to coil like serpents. Black necromancy. It brings suffering, death, pain, spiritual annihilation. It's forbidden, isn't it, Master? The Master steps closer, voice cold. Forbidden by those who fear it, feared by those who do not understand it. Black necromancy does not only kill, it breaks the essence of a soul, reducing it to anguish and void. It is power without mercy. The Master gestures toward the iron-bound heart. The runes on the walls pulse in response. This heart, once belonging to a warlock who dared defy the natural order, will serve as our conduit. Watch closely. The Master extends a hand, tracing a rune in the air. The shadows shudder. The iron wires around the heart groan as if in agony. Vita excrucio, animam conflagro. A sickly green energy coils from the Master's fingertips into the heart. It convulses, then erupts into crimson flame. A sound like a distant, tormented scream reverberates through the chamber. What was that? The Master with a satisfied and almost egotistical nod. The spell conflagration. Black necromancy's fire does not burn flesh. It consumes the soul itself, reducing it to ash. The victim feels every moment of their essence unraveling. A cruel tool, but effective. Why would anyone use such magic? The Master turns, eyes glinting like polished onyx. Power, control, vengeance. Black necromancy is the magic of tyrants and madmen, but also of desperate souls who seek to end threats that defy the living. Even Kalimvor's faithful have, at times, wielded its horrors to protect the living from greater evils. The Master steps aside, revealing a motionless figure chained to the wall, skeletal, with sunken eyes that track their movements with hollow malevolence. Behold, a victim of lich touch. The apprentice recoils as they notice the creature's translucent skin clings like brittle paper to bone. Its mouth moves soundlessly, eyes pleading, though for release or vengeance is unclear. Lich touch, the cold of undeath-given form, a black necromancer's caress. The touch drains the life essence from its victim, leaving only this, a husk, cursed to linger in agony. The soul is devoured piece by piece until only emptiness remains. The skeletal figure strains against its chains, a faint hiss of pain leaking from its throat. The apprentice's eyes flicker with fascination and fear. And the finger of death? I've heard stories. The Master turns to face the apprentice, voice heavy as stone. The apex of black necromancy. With but a gesture, the life force of a target is seized and crushed like brittle glass. The victim feels their heart stutter, their blood freeze, their soul torn free. He raises a hand, index finger extended. A thin line of green energy crackles from fingertip to the chained figure. The creature writhes, convulses, then crumbles to ash. Gods! Power demands a price, apprentice. Black necromancy exacts that toll not only from the victim, but from the caster. Each invocation draws upon one's own life force. Abuse it, and you will find yourself aging prematurely, or worse, inviting something from beyond the veil to claim you. The room grows colder. The iron-bound heart on the pedestal cracks, leaking shadow like dark smoke. I understand, Master. Power, but never without purpose. The Master looks down at his apprentice, satisfied. Good. Remember, those who seek power without caution are devoured by it. We are necromancers, not monsters. Grey necromancy is sometimes referred to as the neutral form of necromancy. The majority of these spells and those who wield it fall into an uncertain category of moral ambiguity. Take animate dead, for instance. Raising up a zombie to carry one's luggage is not considered an evil act, but animating the dead, for the purpose of attacking a merchant caravan, is another matter entirely. While appropriate for neutral wizards, animation of the dead is usually slightly distasteful and perhaps even forbidden to some wizards. A dimly lit crypt, its stone floor worn smooth by the passage of centuries. The air smells of damp earth and faint incense. Candles flicker atop skull-shaped sconces, casting restless shadows. Grey necromancy, a curious middle path apprentice, neither steeped in malice nor radiant with benevolence. What do you believe it to be? A neutral form of necromancy, master. It lacks the cruelty of black magic, but doesn't carry the mercy of white necromancy either. The master nodding. Yes, grey necromancy dances along the edge of moral uncertainty. It conjures the dead, but not for suffering. It manipulates life force, but rarely to destroy. And yet, the master gestures toward the center of the crypt. There, two skeletal figures rise, joints clicking as they grasp the handles of a massive rune-carved chest and hoist it with mechanical precision. Animate dead. Precisely. A spell often misunderstood. Look at them. Not tortured, not aware enough to suffer. Tools, nothing more. But it's still desecration, isn't it? Using the dead like mules? Desecration, yes. Offensive to some. Yet, no different than using a tamed beast for labor. The soul has long since departed. We move only the shell left behind. The skeletal servants carry the chest to a dais and set it down with uncanny synchronicity before returning to stand at silent attention. Is that why some wizards forbid it? The master sighs softly. Yes. Tradition, fear, and misunderstanding. Some believe the body's sacred even after death. Others fear the sight of bones walking in the moonlight. To them, even raising a skeleton to carry one's luggage is an affront. But it's still necromancy, master. Yes, apprentice, but what is necromancy if not the art of understanding the boundary between life and death? Grey necromancy bends that line without severing it. It can mend vitality with spells like false life, or siphon energy from an enemy with vampiric touch, not to kill, but to protect oneself. The master extends a hand toward the apprentice. Shadows coil along their fingertips, then leap toward one of the skeletons. The creature quivers, its bones dimly glowing before the energy returns to the master's palm, suffusing their skin with faint, pulsing light. That was vampiric touch, wasn't it? Yes, a lifeline in battle. Grey necromancy is pragmatic. It values survival over purity, utility over sentiment. But therein lies the danger. Danger? How so? You see, apprentice, pragmatism can erode principles. The more you justify your actions as necessary, the easier it becomes to step into darkness. Today, you animate a skeleton to carry your belongings. Tomorrow, you might raise a dozen to ambush a rival. Grey necromancy does not corrupt the soul, but it does test its boundaries. The skeletal servants, as if in response to the warning, turn their hollow gazes toward the apprentice. I understand. Power with restraint. Use without cruelty. Good. The true strength of grey necromancy lies in knowing when not to cast the spell. Remember, the line between grey and black is thinner than it seems. The final category of necromancy embraces magic of a benign or beneficial nature. This form of necromancy includes spells that restore and fortify the living body or life force. Although white magic can be used to heal wounds and breaks such as bone fractures, it is by no means a substitute for clerical healing. This necromancy derives its healing power usually from a volunteer's life energy, more often than not, the original caster to transfer their essence upon another. This form of necromancy is still used by all forms of users of necromancy, as it can suit their own dark purposes, or when a wizard may need to heal themselves. And even the most dark-hearted necromancer will resort to white magic. A dimly lit chamber in Candlekeep, lined with ancient tomes and softly murmuring scrolls. The scent of old parchment and candle wax lingers in the air. Shadows dance along the walls as a hooded figure turns the brittle pages of a forbidden text. Master, the Black Academy. I found mention of it here, buried in these texts. The apprentice runs a finger across an inked sigil that writhes faintly beneath their touch. Ah, the Bleak Academy, a name seldom spoken aloud. Tell me, what do you know of it? A secret cabal of necromancers, devoted to the demilich Asererak. They sought to perfect necromancy, to wield death as a tool. The master nods approvingly. Yes, a place where death was not feared, but dissected. The academy was not only a cult, it was also a scholastic crucible. Their members conducted unholy experiments, unraveling the mysteries of soul and sinew. The apprentice, with their eyes fixed on the page. They summoned monstrosities, raised the dead to honor Asererak, weekly rites to draw his gaze. And they succeeded. He watched, he listened. The apprentice then gestured to some sigils on the page. Those marks, they were etched by minds consumed with obsession. Asererak was their idol. He was their promise, their dark patron. The candlelight flickers unnaturally, as if recoiling from the mention of the name. They accepted more than necromancers, didn't they? Assassins, blackguards, pale masters. The master leans back, a faint smile forming. Yes, the academy saw potential in any who understood the art of unmaking life. Necromancy was the foundation, but shadows found many shapes within its walls. The apprentice hesitates, turning a page that reveals a diagram of a classroom. Skeletal hands pinned to desks, hollow eyes gazing at runic inscriptions. The students who failed, they were, yes, slain. Their bodies raised as zombies to serve as subjects for anatomy lectures. And some say their souls too were claimed, trapped within phylacteries or bound to the academy's halls. The candlelight dims further, cold seeping into the room. Why would anyone go there willingly? The master gazes into the flickering flame and speaks in a hushed tone. Power, knowledge, immortality. The Black Academy welcomed exiles, those who were cast out, condemned, or driven by an insatiable hunger to understand death's mechanics. It offered answers others feared to seek. How many were there? Apprentice. Many questions, but at its peak, 50 necromancers, 200 apprentices, and hundreds of captives awaiting their grim fate. Over 1,000 undead haunted Skull City, laboring as guards, servants, and sentinels of the Academy's secrets. The apprentice's hand trembles as they trace a drawing of ghasts prowling through a mist-shrouded bog. Mistress Faranifer. She commanded the ghasts beyond the city walls. They patrolled the bog and let pass only those who chanted a dirge. Yes, young one. A song of mourning. A hymn to death itself. Cross the bog in silence, and you would be dragged beneath the waters, your lungs filled with rot. The apprentice closes the tome, suppressing a shiver. Silence swells, heavy and oppressive. Is it gone now? The academy? Perhaps. Or perhaps its knowledge lingers in the forgotten corners of Candlekeep, whispering to those who dare to listen, such as yourself. Necromancy is a study of thresholds, the fragile veil that separates what was from what is. In its pursuit, we confront the inexorable truth that life is but a fleeting ember, and death a patient horizon. It teaches us that power lies in understanding what others fear to name. bones, sinew, spirit. These are not just remnants of what was, but echoes of potential. Necromancy dares to ask, what if endings are illusions? What if memory, soul, and will can endure beyond their mortal bounds? Yet, in gazing too long into death's abyss, one risks more than mere mortality. For to wield such forces is to walk a precipice where ambition and obsession entwine like roots beneath a grave. It is a discipline that demands sacrifice, wisdom, and, ultimately, the humility to know that death does not bargain. In the end, necromancy teaches us this, that eternity is a cold and silent master, and those who seek to conquer it must tread carefully. For sometimes, the greatest mysteries are revealed not in what we resurrect, but in what we choose to let rest. Thank you for watching the video. We have more videos planned, so like and subscribe to make sure you watch those when they release. If you would like to support the channel further, take a look at the links for Patreon and our membership on YouTube. Thanks to all our members new and those who have been with us from the start. See you all on the next video.